Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Autumn Rolls a 7 by Jasinda Wilder, narrated by Summer Roberts. Chapter 1. My cell was ringing, somewhere. I'm not a morning person. It was early, and I hadn't had coffee, and who would be calling me at? I cracked an eye and squinted at my alarm clock. 8 on a Saturday morning? What kind of sadistic, masochistic jerkwad would even be awake this early on a Saturday, much less calling me? Everyone who knows me knows my Saturday mornings are sacred to me. I blinked my eyes open, reluctantly, begrudgingly, crankily. My cell was across the room, plugged into the charger and sitting on a little table in my reading nook. I stumbled blearily to the chair, plopped down into it, picked up the phone. The number on the screen was an LA area code, so likely a realtor sniffing for a last-second showing. I cleared my throat, tried to sound awake as I slid my finger across the screen to accept the call. "Hello, this is Autumn Scott." "Good morning." A deep, rough male voice. It sounded like someone who'd spent the night smoking, drinking, and fucking. It was a smoky, gravelly voice, and possibly familiar? "Yes, hi, this is Autumn. How can I help you?" "I'm calling in response to your ad." A cough, clearing his throat. "On Instagram. I saw it last night, and I'm calling to see if it's for real." Ad? I sounded faint, even to myself, and horrified. What ad? A slow, syrupy, gravelly chuckle. "Beautiful, successful single woman in search of a wealthy, handsome man to help her get pregnant the old-fashioned way. Financial validation a must. Serious inquiries only. DM for more info." His tone indicated he was reading. No. No. Hell no. They didn't. "Pranked by some friends, huh?" I should have said yes. It was just a prank. But that voice, holy hell, that voice. Each syllable positively caressed me. The very sound of his voice promised long nights of wild pleasure, promised dirty secrets and tangled sheets. I should have said yes. It was just a prank. But his voice alone had me saying something else entirely. Possibly. I paused. But possibly not. "Tell me about yourself." "My name is Seven St. John." Seven St. John? Retired heavyweight boxer and multiple-time world champion, a sports commentator on ESPN who was starting to dabble in Hollywood, and the ultimate bad boy. Perennially on TMZ and in the tabloids for his wild antics and debauched ways, associated with an endless parade of stunning women ranging from A-list actresses to supermodels, with a trail of broken hearts in his wake, and one of the most gorgeous men to walk the planet, if you go in for brutally powerful, scarred, tattooed, with features hewn from granite, piercing eyes, and a wicked mouth. Seven St. John was a name synonymous with sin, capital S. And he was calling me. "Seven St. John," I repeated. Another of those slow, dark laughs. "That's me." Get it together, Autumn. Too early. My brain wasn't firing on all cylinders yet. The ad, not much better. Something smart.
You aren't a morning person, are you?
No, not at all. Especially on Saturdays.
I got you. So how about instead of continuing to bother you on a Saturday morning, we just get together for drinks tomorrow?
Drinks?
Yeah, like I pick you up and we go somewhere and sit down together and have a couple drinks, and we talk.
With you? Jesus, Autumn, smarten up, girl. Drinks tomorrow. He chuckled again.
Drinks with me tomorrow.
A pause.
So, you in?
Yeah. Yes, that sounds good. Drinks with you tomorrow.
Great. So I'll pick you up at
7?
A hint of humor in his voice. My turn to laugh. I bet that gets all the girls, doesn't it?
It's a good time. Not too early, not too late.
Right. 7, then. With you. 7.
Address?
I relayed my address to him. We're not going anywhere super fancy, are we?
Nah.
Okay.
Well, Autumn Scott, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm excited about tomorrow.
Good talking to you, too. And same.
I'll let you go now, so you can get back to sleep.
I groaned. I wish. But no, once I'm up, I'm up.
Sorry to have woken you. I'm an early riser by nature.
It's okay. Okay? It was more than okay. I had a date with 7 St. John.
Bye, Autumn.
Bye, 7. See you tomorrow. I ended the call and stumbled in a daze to my bed, flopped heavily backward onto it. I had a date with 7 St. John. Why had he called me? I mean, the ad, obviously. But this was 7 St. John, one of the boxing greats, already spoken of in the same breath as Mayweather, Foreman, Lewis, and Ali. He retired at 38 after his 3rd championship belt, undefeated. Immediately upon retirement, he was snapped up by ESPN as a commentator on those talking head sports shows, and obviously as an expert announcer for boxing matches. More to the point, he'd been associated romantically with a who's who list of actresses, household names, supermodels, influencers, and even at one point, an elegant blonde woman who everyone said was some kind of European royalty. Granted, he never stayed with any of them for long, but it was clear he was capable of snapping his fingers and having any woman on the planet drop her panties for him. And he was calling me, a nobody real estate agent pushing 40. He's been with the hottest, sexiest starlets in Hollywood and 20-year-old Victoria's Secret models. It didn't make any sense. So, why had I agreed to meet him for drinks tomorrow night? Curiosity, probably, but also that voice. On the phone, it had been low and growly, like a bass line vibrating in my tummy. It tugged on something deep inside, something both physical and more than physical, especially when he'd said my name. Bye for now, Autumn Scott. Can't wait to meet you in person. I decided I wasn't going to tell anyone about this. Don't give them the benefit of knowing their little ad had actually worked. Zoe especially. As my sister, she should have known better. I groaned, and then gave in to the impulse to have a little squeal and kick moment as the reality set in. Holy shit, I needed an outfit. Normally, I'd call one of the girls to go shopping with me, but since I was more than a little half mad at them still for putting me in one of those stupid billionaire ads in the first place, I decided to punish them by not inviting them shopping with me. That'd show them. I spent the day shopping and bought an off-the-shoulder knee-length piece in a summer grass green color that offset my copper hair. It had a plunging neckline, hugged my hips, and showed off my long legs, which most men deemed my hottest feature. I also bought a new bag to go with it, a beautiful cream Yves Saint Laurent, and new shoes, suede Louboutin pumps. I mean, a girl has to treat herself once in a while, right? Sunday, the day of the date. 7 had insisted on picking me up. A chance not to have to either drive or take an Uber is a welcome change. And being that 7 is wealthy as hell, I'm guessing he has a pretty cool car. He said he'd pick me up at 7. Ha ha ha. But I'd been ready by 6:45, makeup done, hair in an updo with a few strands artfully draped by my face. I gave myself one more good look in the mirror. I was pacing and resisting the urge to have a drink to calm my nerves. 5'9", almost 5'10", gray eyes that went almost silver in certain light, freckles spotted across my cheeks and other places. I was still slender, thanks in large part to genetics, honestly, but also because I was careful about what I ate, lifted weights 3 days a week, and ran with Zoe several times a week when I wasn't lifting. My hips were decent, my ass nice and tight, and I had admittedly small breasts, a middling B cup, that a really good bra could turn into a decent C. I'd considered implants a few years ago, but I'd heard too many horror stories from clients about leaks or having to have them taken out due to infections and all sorts of shuddery things. So I decided to stay au naturel. I'd opted for a bra that didn't change my natural size, but did flatter my build in this dress. The best thing about the dress was what it did for my legs, which were long and strong. Every day was leg day at the gym. Paired with the heels, my legs and ass looked fantastic, so I felt pretty good about myself as I waited for 7 to arrive. 6:54, and my phone blooped. I'd already saved his number. 7.
I'm here. No rush if you're not ready. I don't mind waiting.
Me. I'm ready. Be right down. Which car are you in? 7.
You'll know it when you see it. Ha ha.
I snorted a laugh and rolled my eyes at that, heading down to the ground floor. The elevator opened, and Tommy, the evening doorman of my building, smiled at me, heading over to open the door for me.
Looking mighty fine tonight, Miss Scott. Hot date?
Thank you, Tommy. It's a blind date, actually, so we'll see.
You? A blind date? Say it ain't so, darlin'.
I laughed, pausing at the door to talk to Tommy, who was a tall, rotund, garrulous, genial man with a happy smile and a kind word for everyone. Well, it's not technically a true blind date. Let's just say I know who he is, so I know what he looks like, but I've never actually met him. Tommy blinked at me.
I ain't sure how that works out, but you do you, boo.
He eyed the parking lot.
That him in the fancy car?
I followed Tommy's gaze, and sure enough, there was a low, sleek sports car with murderous curves. It was yellow and black, with intake vents on the sides and a spoiler on the back. I didn't recognize it, which was saying something considering I sold ultra-luxury real estate in Beverly Hills, Orange County, and Malibu, where you frequently saw some of the most expensive cars on the market. I'm guessing that is him, I said to Tommy. He said I'd know his car when I saw it.
That there is a mighty expensive whip, Tommy said. He must be flush, if that's your date.
What is it, do you know?
Hell if I know. Ain't ever seen one of them before.
He shrugged.
Alls I know is lines like that are expensive as hell, whether it's on a woman or a car.
He grinned at his joke as I headed out the doors.
Be safe, okay?
I will. I headed for the car, and as I approached, the driver's door swung open, not swinging out, but rotating up. A gargantuan male slid out, and my heart nearly stopped. 7 St. John. He was bigger in real life than he seemed on TV, and he looked enormous on TV. 6'4", maybe 6'5", weighing I don't know how much, but a fucking ton. All of it rock-hard muscle. He was wearing faded blue jeans over black leather boots, with a white button-down, the sleeves folded up to his elbow, unbuttoned to mid-chest. It should have looked douchey, being unbuttoned so far, but his chest was so broad, so powerful and heavily tattooed, that it somehow just worked, as if the shirt was simply incapable of containing his sheer breadth and depth of chest. The shirt was thin, nearly see-through, as the brilliant evening sun hit it. He had mirrored aviators on, hiding his eyes. His skin was a warm, dark golden brown, and his hair was jet black, tightly curled, shaved on the sides, and left in a wide mohawk on top. Again, on most men, mohawks looked stupid and douchey, but 7 made it work, and work well. On his left wrist was a heavy silver watch, and even from a distance I could tell it was expensive. His cheeks were chiseled out of granite, his jawline hewn from marble. Stubble shadowed his jaw, and tattoos crept up his neck from his chest and shoulders, writhed on his forearms. More ink on his knuckles. I couldn't tell what the letters on his knuckles read. I was walking toward him on autopilot, but my brain was rapidly attempting to process the fact that he was here, picking me up, that he was real, that he knew who I was. I didn't follow boxing, but even if you didn't, you knew Seven. You knew his rep. You'd seen him on tabloids, whether a scandalous shot of him doing something inappropriate in public with his flavor of the week, or in a brawl in a bar somewhere exotic, or basking on a yacht in the Mediterranean with A-list buddies. You'd seen him. Seeing him live and in person, I had a momentary existential crisis. Why had I agreed to this date? This was a famous man, an infamous player. I was probably just another snack to him. So, why had I agreed to this date? Curiosity, certainly. It's not every day that a celebrity just cold calls you and asks you out. And I may not follow boxing, but a hot guy is a hot guy, and Seven St. John was sex on a stick. So maybe it was also pure lust, like just the opportunity to be close to a man that fine. And maybe, possibly, get a shot at messing around with him, see how those big, hard hands of his felt on my body. Fine. So it was curiosity and libido that had goaded me into agreeing to this date. And seeing him exit the car and rise to his intimidating full height, seeing those cheekbones, that killer grin. Yeah, I wasn't regretting it. Maybe I would end up regretting it. Maybe I was just going to be another flavor of the week or day for him. Maybe he was just curious in return as to what kind of girl would put up an advertisement for herself on social media. But regardless of his intentions, here he was. And I could avoid the topic, right? He stepped around the front of his car and up onto the sidewalk and grinned at me, removing his sunglasses. His gaze was dazzling, arresting, arousing. His eyes were deep dark brown, melted chocolate and cinnamon. "Autumn Scott," he rumbled, extending a hand. "God damn, you look like a motherfucking goddess." My stomach flipped, twisted. I took his hand and nearly yanked it away immediately. Electricity shot through me at his touch. His hand was massive, felt like leather and cinder block, and even as he gently wrapped his fingers around my hand, I could feel the power in his hand. Instead of shaking my hand, he brought it to his lips, kissed the back, damp, warm lips touching my knuckles. He smelled amazing. Soap, a faint whiff of cologne, leather from the wide, weathered plain black cuff on his right wrist. My knees shook. "Thanks," I gulped. "Do I need to introduce myself?" he asked, a teasing glint in his eyes, saying he didn't take himself that seriously. "No, I know who you are." Nonetheless, he still had my hand. "I'm Seven." "Nice to meet you, Seven." His eyes bored into me, and I had to focus on staying upright under his piercing dark eyes. God, he was intense. "Pleasure's all mine, Autumn." If an alpha male lion could speak, his voice would be Seven's. Dark, deep, rough, commanding. He gestured at his car. "Ready to go?" "Yes." I cleared my throat. "Yeah, I'm ready." He pulled up the passenger door, and I realized he'd never actually let go of my hand after kissing my knuckles. "In you go." I had to get low, way, way low to get in, and doing so without letting my hem ride up to my hoo-ha was challenging at best. I felt Seven's eyes on me the whole way. No polite looking away for him. No, sir. I finally managed to half fall into the seat, tugged my hem lower with a little shimmy of my hips that he definitely noticed and appreciated. Once I was in and settled, Seven lowered the door into place. Holy shit, What an interior. The steering wheel looked more like something you'd fly a jet with, featuring a dizzying array of knobs, switches, and buttons all over the front of it. Instead of a dash display, there was a large black screen standing above the steering column, and another large touchscreen display for the infotainment center. A row of switches ran up the center column, with a large knob above that. Everything was black carbon fiber with yellow accents. Seven slid into the driver's seat, pushed a button, and the motor turned over with a jet engine snarl. The heads-up display screen read Hennessy, and the infotainment screen read Venom F5. This is a hell of a car. He grinned.
Ain't it? It's a Hennessy Venom F5. They only make a few every year. This one is special, though. Lots of custom touches all over it.
He gunned the engine, and my seat vibrated with power, a vicious snarl behind my back. Yikes, that sounds dangerous.
Fastest production vehicle in the world, baby.
He arched an eyebrow at me.
Better buckle up.
I clicked the belt into place, held my purse on my lap, and offered an uncertain smile. All right, I'm buckled.
Hold on.
He pulled away from the curb, around to the street, paused to let a handful of cars pass, and then, when there was an opening in traffic, he gunned the engine and twisted the steering wheel. It felt like being hit in the chest by a gorilla. I was pressed back against the seat by pure G-force, tires howling. I couldn't move, could barely manage to catch my breath, couldn't find anything to hold on to, so I gripped the gold chain of my YSL strap until my knuckles hurt. He drove like a madman, albeit a very talented one, weaving through traffic as if this was a chase scene in a Michael Bay flick. At one point, he even bolted into oncoming traffic to get around a slow-moving SUV. Both hands on the wheel, aviators in place, a shit-eating grin on his face. He was both completely focused, but somehow utterly relaxed. We came to an intersection, a green left turn light, and he slid from the far right to the left turn lane in one swoop. And the nose pivoted to left, while the tail swung out, tires screaming in a drifting turn that had me grasping at the ceiling, the doorframe, anything. I'd have screamed, but I still hadn't caught my breath. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit! I finally squeaked. You've proved your point. It's fast. He laughed, a rumbling snarl.
Not trying to prove a damn thing, sweetheart, he drawled. Just driving the car like it was designed to be driven.
He smirked at me with a quick glance.
Trust me, I was trained how to drive by professionals. You're safe as houses, babe.
Doesn't feel safe. Watch out for that truck! He just laughed, tapped the brakes, and snaked around it, earning honks of outrage and more than one middle finger.
What truck?
We were already past it, topping a hill, and then he finally slowed to a more moderate and legal pace. Is that how you impress all the girls? I asked, arching an eyebrow at him. Scare the piss out of them by driving like a maniac? He just nodded.
Yep.
And it works?
Usually.
He eyed me, that cocky smirk on his face still.
Did it work on you?
I don't know. I'm still trying to gather my wits.
Your wits are back there a ways, I think, he said. Saw 'em in the rearview mirror.
Hysterical. Another of those rough, wild grins.
So, Autumn, what do you do?
I'm a luxury real estate agent.
Nice. Any good at it?
I laughed at the question. You don't stay in the luxury market for long if you're not. I glanced his way. Feels a little lopsided here. I know a lot about you, and you don't know anything about me. He flicked a glance in the rearview mirror. I followed his gaze and saw a police cruiser behind us, lights off, trailing at a distance, clearly waiting for him to pull another stunt.
I see you, 5-0. I ain't doing nothing. Not anymore, at least.
Back to me, then.
You think you know a lot about me.
So what I think I know isn't true?
Not saying that, but some of what's out there is true, some of it's false. Some of it is taken out of context, and some of it is true but exaggerated.
I noticed he was very carefully going exactly the speed limit, but the way his thumb was tapping against the steering wheel gave the impression it took a lot of willpower to do so. "So what's one lie?" I asked.
That whole story where I beat up that actress's boyfriend, that was a flat-out lie. I never met the woman, and certainly never beat up her boyfriend. For one thing, I don't date chicks who are with someone. Not my style. I like 'em single and ready to mingle. For another, that wasn't even me in the photo. It was doctored. Also, I was in Europe for a match when that was supposed to have happened. Some sites have debunked it since, but once the article is out there, the damage is done.
"So you've never dated anyone who wasn't single?" He shrugged.
Not knowingly. I hooked up with this chick once who conveniently neglected to mention she was engaged. She was high profile, so was her fiancé, but I don't follow that shit. I ain't got time for gossip about who's fucking who.
"Adelaide Montgomery," I said, remembering the buzz about it at the time. "How could you not know Adelaide was engaged to Zeke?"
I don't even know who that Zeke doofus is.
He growled.
Hell, I barely knew who Adelaide was. It was at a party in Paris after a match. I was buzzed on painkillers and Cristal, and it was dark. I recognized her the next morning, in the photos that had been taken of us. But at the time, she was just a hot, willing body.
"That Zeke doofus," I echoed. "He's a platinum-selling artist. Everyone knows who Zeke is."
I ain't everyone.
He huffed.
Told you, I don't keep track of that shit. If I know you, it's because I know you. In my world, there's just people. Celebrity, not a celebrity, I don't give two shits. People are people.
He smirked at me.
Plus, I met the guy at some stupid red carpet bullshit later on, and he was a doofus.
"You met Zeke Pryor?"
Sure, and he's a doofus.
I sighed. Zeke Pryor was a doofus? This guy was too much. "And what would be an example of something exaggerated?" He checked his mirrors, put on a blinker, and changed lanes, then made a right turn.
Oh, I know. That story about the brawl in Prague? It did happen, but it was way overblown. Me and the other dude got a little heated. He threw a punch, I threw one back. Our respective friends pulled us apart. There was some scuffling, but it wasn't a fucking brawl. Me and my boys decide to brawl, you'll fucking know it.
We pulled into the valet lane of a well-known high-end restaurant in the LA area. I had to now figure out how to exit this car gracefully, without flashing the whole restaurant, and particularly the valet who was opening the door for me. I pressed my knees together and rotated, so I was sitting half out of the low-slung rocket mobile, feet on the cobbled brick of the valet pavilion. Seven was there then, stone and leather paw wrapping around my suddenly tiny, dainty, frail little doll's hand. And he was standing in front of me, his big body blocking view of me, as I levered myself upright with my knees still pressed together. If you've never tried to stand up with your feet and knees pressed together while in a car barely 6 inches off the ground, then you won't understand how simply physically difficult that is. As soon as I was on my feet, Seven smiled down at me.
"Easier getting in than out, ain't it?"
I huffed. "No kidding. Next time, either drive something I don't need a crane to help me out of, or let me know so I can wear a skirt I can move in more easily." His eyes narrowed, and a devious grin slid across his chiseled features.
"Next time, huh?"
Slip of the tongue. If there's a next time, and you know that's what I meant. He rolled a shoulder.
"Hey, I take people at face value, and at their word. I assume folks mean what they say what they mean, and if someone's words or actions don't match their intentions or desires, sucks to be them. I don't play games. Life's too short to fuck around like that."
We were inside at the host stand. The short, young, beautiful, and somewhat scantily clad hostess saw Seven as we entered and inflated her lungs and pushed her shoulders back in a way that somehow made...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?